own national spatial data portal, which is called GeoPortal, and you can find it at the address geoportal.gov.pl. And the uniqueness of the system is it uses the official data from the state registers. So this data is needed for many formal requirements which our law prescribes, but it can be also useful for the citizens. And the main goal of the GeoPortal 2, because actually the current project we finished is called GeoPortal 2, was to make this data available for the public and well, make the citizens using it. So a few facts on GeoPortal. It's one of the biggest projects. It's financed from the European funds, which, and it was done in 2 stages. It was launched by the head of office of Geodesy and Cartography. And as I mentioned, the goal is to provide the citizens, business, and public administrations access to government registers containing high quality and high reliability data, which might be used for the official purposes. This project concentrates more on developments of services providing access to register than on the data itself. The registers provide the data to the portal. First, they have to be provided by the official institutions, but now the goal is to provide it to citizens, and now we can see that we are delivering this goal, as in the first quarter of this year we have around 4 million users, active users. I will come back to this figure after presentation of the portal. Now it's interface. You can see the different tiles. It's actually one of the systems we use in our other governmental projects, like this Obywatel.gov.pl, which provides the citizens with the access to information how to conduct the official processes, like applying for an ID or subscribing to voting in the elections. So this tile system we use also elsewhere. And here we can use different services, maps, ortho maps, the information gathered according to the INSPIRE directive. And well, as I mentioned, this portal was financed from the European funds, and it was also a tool for us to implement the INSPIRE directive, which is binding for all the member states of the EU, which also means that our data here is comparable to the data provided by the other governments. You can also use the maps created in GeoPortal as a basis for other products. And for instance, if you have an external service of WMS, a web mapping service, you can display this information also on the maps of GeoPortal. And of course, the API is open, so you can put GeoPortal in your services, so you may use this as a part of your service and to indicate locations and the like. Now the applications. So you have here this menu, which is open and barely visible. I'm sorry. So it's national broker, when you can use all the data for according to the national register systems. You have Inspire broker, as I mentioned. There's Directive Inspire, which provides with the special standards of presenting data, and you have it in such a way. You can have, well, it's really barely visible. You have an editor to manage also your data, and then you can have also mobile applications. And we've produced the systems, the GeoPortal, so that you can use it with Android, Windows Phone, and iOS. Now, what is the most search information as we see from the behavior of our users? So these are usually the maps, and so the national GeoPortal is actually the most heavily used. Also the earlier photo maps, so ortho maps, these are the second service used. The rest is to a little extent. Maybe I will skip this one. But then the interface. And there's an example. Of course, we know this scheme from the private portals providing for the maps. So of course we are not inventing the wheel, but it's our way and our user interface. Of course, it's limited to Poland, but you can choose here ortho maps, rasters, topo maps, different types, and of course adjust the scale. And as I mentioned here, the reliability is of paramount importance. So you can actually scale down to a very fine granularity, which helps in using it, for instance, to check, well, let's keep this one. You can check at different layers. You can put different layers on the map, and to check the information you need. For instance, the elevation model provides, you can actually in your location see the elevation, but what is of very importance in legal dealings are the land and building registration processes. So actually, if you want to build something, if you need the information about where to invest and what is possible, you can enter the GeoPortal and you can check it on the map. So we have 14 different layers, as in many other situations you would use one of them. The trade GeoPortal is actually for businesses, which should, well, it's one of the users of the GeoPortal. And there are many different examples of maps, like geodetic network of control points. If you need really to have an access to not to graphical presentation, but to other presentations, you can have also indexes and look in different dimensions. I mentioned the Inspire directive. I think that it was the most important incentive to create GeoPortal and actually to move the system of our registers into digital dimension. And well, it's barely visible, But these are the most important, or actually all the information required by the Inspire directive, which consists of 10 layers, including addresses, names, cadastral parcels, transport, listed buildings, and so on. So you can actually compare it to the information provided in the other countries. In the GeoPortal, there's also something called statistics module. You can use it for creation of your own set of information. So you use the information from GeoPortal, but you arrange it according to your wishes to see what you actually need to create a kind of statistical visualization of the information. Again, it's as I mentioned, it's for companies important information while dealing with the business, investing, preparing for any activity. In the GeoPortal, you can use also external data. As I mentioned, API is quite open. You can take the data from outside through a special tool in the GeoPortal, and then use it combined to its GeoPortal data as well. And create also your own maps according to your wish and according to the interest. GeoPortal works on mobile devices. We have 3 major systems, operational systems. Again, it's for some users this may be more interesting and more useful. It's one of the flexibility in the system, and we hope, well, everybody will use it according to its need. The statistics and the usage of the GeoPortal, well, we see it increasing, and it's something we really aimed at. We knew that at the launch of this portal, not all services were available, and especially it was not well known, it was not a part of everyday business. So in 2012 we had over 1 million of visits, then it rose by 3 million, then by 7 million. This year we expect it to raise twofold to, well, roughly, we'll see whether it will be 18 million or 20 million. But it's, you can see from the download data that the amount of data downloaded rises even faster. So it means that the users, they learn how to use this data for their own purposes. And actually, as we perceive it, as we perceive the future, it will be always evolution. It will be always a way of learning how to, by the users, how to use this data. Some figures on types of data sets which was requested by the users. As far as the size, it's always ortho-imaginary, but as far and the other services are used to a limited extent, but of course they are usually used as a second service. After somebody uses ortho-imaginary, then somebody uses the other registers as well. These are the website addresses, but the important thing for future is, from the point of public administration, is for the public administrations to learn to use this data. Because as I mentioned, it's always an evolution, it's a learning process. The new services should be developed by public administration as well. It always takes time, and the results of our endeavors, so money spent, projects, it's seen always with a lag. So you can tell whether a system is successful or not only after some time. As I mentioned here, we launched it in 2012, and we started, having more and more visits. This is just an example of the projects we carry out in Poland. Another important one is called PUAP, which is electronic platform for public administration, where there's a platform, but we see also this evolution that at the beginning the usage is low, and slowly it goes up. And at some time we'll, perhaps meet a point of saturation, or we'll develop another version which would be more up to the times, which will come in future. And as Tavi Kotka today mentioned, it's always a future, so you cannot say that there's a project closed and aim achieved, but there will be always evolution afterwards. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Minister, for a great presentation and on a great development of a tool. The question I'd like to ask, you talked about this being funded from the EU funds, right? And is there a possibility that someday we will have a cross-border tool like this in all of Europe, since we have a free market, free movement of goods and of people, and I really think this would be very beneficial for Europe as a whole. For example, in Lithuania, we have a very huge problem with dealings like this, because the system is still out of date and still corrupt because of big human interaction with this. So is it a possibility? Is the Commission moving towards a unified platform like this? What's the case? Thank you.
Well, actually, there are two questions. One is about the corruption of the system, and I haven't mentioned any problems. Of course, there were and there still are many problems in data, especially in providing the data from the local and regional offices. And the reliability question is paramount. With public administration, the problem is all the formal arrangements which have to be followed. So actually, I listened carefully to what Tavi Kotka previously said, that, well, about cybersecurity of private and public services. But with public services, it's always more difficult, because you have to follow the rules very closely. It's the basic tenet of public administration's work. So, and the problems on the way, they are really, well, present, and it's part of the evolution. And for sure, it's also part of the issue why the usage is just growing up. So it's, well, I won't delve deeper into the problems we had, but the question about European level, well, actually is the question to the Commission. From the Polish point of view, we will support the endeavors of the Commission. For instance, one of them are the funds in the Connecting Europe facility, where well, a large part of this program goes to the digital services and development of digital services. Of course, the Commission is also a public administration, so it has to have legal base for any actions. And now we are, I believe, we are just about enacting the ISA 2, which is interoperability service program, whatever it's, I always call it ISA 2. So it's interoperability program at the European level, and then there are actions foreseen, both legal and financial. And I think that the biggest problems will be the legal barriers between the member states. So it would be welcome, but it will be even more difficult than it was in Poland to create this system or the other ones.
I have two questions. First, these downloadable data sets, are they downloadable for free, or you take some money for this? And the second question, usually about such data portals, there is expectation that private companies will download the data and use it in order to build some spin-offs, their own products. Have you seen such kind of tendency in Poland based on data from GeoPortal?
Well, first, the data is for free, and at least in my ministry is Ministry of Administration and Digital Affairs, so our goal is indeed to make the public data available for free, and then to be reused by private companies. And exactly any spin-off using the data is welcome. We see companies providing their services and using this data. Whether it's widespread, I cannot tell. Well, for instance, the startups, they provide services like this as well. I mentioned the legal barriers. We are aware of these legal barriers, of using the data, and actually of different parts of public administration not providing all the data needed for a service, because you can have, here you have a limited number of data sets. Sometimes for especially local services, you have to combine the data. So you can take some of the data from the portals like GeoPortal, but then you have to complement it with local data. This, I know that there were problems in the past. Well, what we do, we are just in very late stage of legislation of upgrading our bill on reuse of public sector information. So we expect it to be enacted by the Parliament very soon. By the way, again, maybe answering to your question about the influence of Europe, there's a European directive which provides exactly for somehow uniform framework also as far as reuse of public data information is concerned. So we are implementing this. I know that until now it's like 13 countries already implemented. When we'll have it in all member states, there will be one legal obstacle less. So there will be possibility to develop this cross-border services. And this is actually where Europe should head to. So from our perspective, providing data for free and then enabling the development of different services provided exactly by private companies, by public as well, if they are able to and if they wish to, this is our goal.
If I may, I have a question regarding user interface. So I took my phone while you were speaking and tried to go to that website. And then I realized that those maps and menus on that are not optimized for small screen. And even when I, managed to zoom in a little bit and try to push the buttons, it seemed that all that user interface is far from having intuitivity of Google Maps or Apple Maps, where in fact the information you have at the back office could be also placed as an additional layer to those platforms which are for general public. And I imagine that, yes, that system is pretty widely used perhaps by real estate brokers or lawyers connected to the real estate business. But at least first impression is that it's not for general public. And my question is, do you see the way how to make the right connection to, of course, to keep that back office with official data, with governmental data, but that front office, on that front office, put the interface which is really widely adopted or used already in the mass market. So to my understanding, that would be the easiest way to push all that data out to the general people. Thank you.
Yes. So first of all, we are aware of the deficiencies of, well, many facets of the system. And it's what I meant by evolution, that we are, well, upgrading parts and parts step by step. And I hope that in near future, also this documentation will be optimized for mobile devices. But it also points at the difficulty for a public administration to keep up with the technological progress. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Public administration has no chance to keep up, and it's why private sector is so good, and why private sector, as I mentioned, with this reuse of public sector information, yes, we would like the private sector to use the public data and provide their own services. And actually, only private sector is so flexible to adjust within months for technological change. Public administration can, well, it's a slow process, budgeting, plans, and the like. So we are fully aware of these deficiencies, but it also in our vision is public sector can provide something, but then there's a huge space for private sector. Yeah, so it's basically the answer. Yes, we know about it. We will upgrade it in future. We wouldn't like to step and to replace private sector services. Like, you know, everybody is using Google Maps, and as I told you, I'm fully aware of this. And besides, there are, for instance, transborder maps, and here we had to limit ourselves. Yeah, we only to the border. So these are legal requirements. And yes, the answer to this is to free the data. Our former Prime Minister, who is now the President of the European Council, he had this very statement we always repeat, that something which was founded from public money should be publicly available. So we try to go in this direction. Again, it's not easy. For instance, if you have institutions which base their functioning and they drew their money for their existence on from selling out the data, it's very difficult for them to adjust, and it's also difficult for Ministry of Finance to adjust. If you would have to budget another 100 million of zlotys and to replace a budget which was drawn by selling services by a institution, that's very difficult for the Ministry of Finance. Our vision, again, in my ministry is quite distinct because it's Ministry of Digital Affairs. So we know these issues. We have our vision, but then the whole administration has to move towards this goal. And the EU well, it's very useful in this sense because it's exactly this way of thinking. Thank you very much.